Alright, welcome everyone. I'm GrimShins, and this is Sid of Valis on the Sega Genesis. The second game in the okayest platforming trilogy on the Sega Genesis. It is a super deformed remake of Valis 2, which is kind of known for being the darkest entry in the mainline Valis series, the most explicit content and stuff, so really, good candidate for a really cute remake, which is pretty cool. Anyway, this game is kind of a half platformer, half shmup, kind of like Wonder Boy 3 Monsters Lair, if you've ever played that. But anyway, get right to it, kind of explain what's going on along the way, and yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy it. So time begins on present start, so that will be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So your primary form of attack is just going to be shooting little laser beams out of your sword here. All of these enemies are just really sort of cute versions of the ones that were in Valis 2, which was originally a Japanese home computer release on the PC-88, the MSX2, and Sharp X68000. If I set this up right, this guy shouldn't attack me. Close enough. He gives me the wide beam, so switch over to that. That's going to be primary weapon for the first couple of levels here. Now, unlike your name would indicate here, you are not Sid, you are Yuko. For whatever reason, the translation saw SD Valis was the name of the game in Japan. They assumed that was Sid, and well, if the game is called Sid, then clearly the player character must be named Sid. Great train of logic here. This is kind of a boss rush game in a lot of ways, just to fight a good number of bosses per level. We're heading up on the first boss here, first main boss. And for this, his weak spot's the head. We want to kind of try to position ourselves so the edge of the wide beam clips its hitbox. That'll allow us to kill him while taking the fewest number of hits. Okay, that was a pretty good stage 1 there. Alright, at this point we get our Armor of Valis, and, our dead friend Reiko from the first game explains what the hell's going on plot-wise, which, is basically there's a new bad guy in town, same as the old bad guy. Doesn't really affect us that much. The plot's not super important in this game. So intentionally taking some hits, as well as clearing out some of the tougher enemies with these bombs. Not too worried about health here, because get a full heal from this heart. There will be one more bomb that I can pick up and clear up some inconvenient enemies. Right here. This guy, upcoming, can be kind of a jerk, kinda gonna try to manipulate his pattern, and we got it. If you jump at certain times, you can manipulate his pattern to make him easier to kill. The next screen exposes kind of a flaw in this game, which is whenever Yuko jumps, you can't jump again until a little landing animation is finished. And it takes a couple frames, just makes jumping a little bit trickier than it should be. Yuko also handles like she's on ice for most of the game, and that is very apparent in this section. You get to the top here, and that despawns the enemy. and I'm gonna try to do a quick kill on this boss. Quick is relative. Basically, I'm gonna try to set it up so I get multiple hits per cycle instead of just the one hit per cycle that you usually get. And I can do that by forcing him into a jump attack. I missed the first section there. And this is just going horribly. That's how it's supposed to do. You're supposed to score about 2 hits a cycle. Not going super well, but that's how it is sometimes. If I do it too early, he just goes back into his aerial attack there. Three hits in a cycle is fantastic. That's absolutely ideal. And it doesn't matter for this last hit. Now we move on to the palace level. I'm gonna switch over to the guard suit here, which will reduce the amount of damage that we take from enemies. And mostly gonna be damage boosting here. The boss in this section is pretty much entirely RNG, but we switch over to the homing beam and use a nice little glitch where if we duck, it cancels the startup frames for the next shot, so we can get a lot more projectiles on screen than we're supposed to have. Actually, that's not what I want to switch to yet. This is what I want to switch to, the three-way beam. Just gonna be our primary weapon for almost the entirety of the rest of the run. Elevator section, not too difficult, just hold up. And another elevator here. I suppose it's a decent enough time to explain what the hell is going on in this game. So, in the original Valis, you are Yuko Aso. Oh, damn. You are Yuko Aso, a high school girl in Japan who, you know, her town is beset upon by demons, and she is gifted a magical sword by a goddess from a different plane of existence. She ends up going to that plane of existence and defeating the big bad guy, Rogueless, and in Valis 2, it's basically revealed that Rogueless's brother, Megas, returns, takes over the dream world, starts going after Rogueless's loyalists, and yada yada yada. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. This boss is kind of annoying because it requires damage boosting. Because its primary form of attack is missiles, and the missiles do more damage than simply touching the boss does. So you strategically want to take hits, while also using the previously mentioned shot canceling to make sure that our rate of fire is sufficiently high. And I am probably gonna die here, which is not fantastic. Yep, that's okay, I budgeted in some time for deaths. This seems to be going a lot better so far. The Valis series also appeared on the PC Engine, and that's kind of the console that the series is more known for being on, because they were CD-ROM games and had plenty of cutscenes and stuff. But overall, I prefer the Genesis versions in terms of gameplay. They're just a little bit smoother, and I like the Genesis more than I like the PC Engine. Sorry, PC Engine fans. Okay, we discover that we have a sister named Valna, who was the daughter of Valia, the god who gave us the sword and armor of Valis in the first game. That'll be relevant in Valis 3. This stage is annoying because it's got a lot of very tough enemies. First section of this boss is not too difficult. We just stand on the right pixel here and shoot him until he's dead. Switch over to homing beam for the second phase and hope he gives us a decent pattern. The movement is pseudo-random, you can manipulate it, but sometimes it gets stuck in a kind of pattern where you can't get a lot of shots off and take a lot of damage. But we killed him, leveled up our weapon, gonna switch back to the three-way shot. And this screen would be terrible, but fortunately, there is an invincibility power-up, so we can just run past all of the enemies, which are otherwise some of the strongest in the game. This boss fight, we want to stand right about here and do our shot canceling to spam attacks as quickly as possible. And if we lined ourselves up right, which we did, we can just blow through all his shots. Now we've got our weapons upgraded to the maximum level. And gonna switch over to the single shot, which is now the most powerful weapon in the game, at least for the first phase of this fight. There are 3 phases, and how fast we can do them depends almost entirely on RNG. Okay, in the second phase here, I'm gonna want to stand right here and just hold down and the B button until he dies. It's largely dependent on how quickly he stops firing shots and goes back to flying back and forth across the screen. Man, I wish I had rocket knees. That'd be pretty sick. But anyway, the right spot to line yourself up with is basically directly centered between the R and the E in your score count. And for the last phase, we switch back to homing beam, go over to the left of the screen, and do a bunch of shot cancellation. We want to try to keep as many projectiles on screen as possible. That will result in the quickest death. Hopefully not too many of the projectiles get eaten up by his shots. One of the cool things about this run is there's not a whole lot of downtime. It's a short game, but you are always doing stuff in it. And my apologies if my commentary has been sort of rambling and incoherent. It is very early in the morning for me, and I am quite tired. But we're on the final stage now. Begins with a rather long auto-scroller. Not a whole lot of danger, just try to take out all the random crap flying around. If you got any donations or anything you want to announce, this is probably the one time in the run where there's enough downtime to do that. Yeah, definitely check that out. Sonic Man is a friend of mine and a really fantastic Streets of Rage speedrunner. We're on the final boss now. I did take out a boss just a second ago by basically overloading the sprite limit in the game and causing him to mostly disappear. This first phase against Megas is very easy. You just stand between his pink laser beams and shoot up his head. And for this last phase, just going to try to use the triple shot, hit him in the chest as many times as possible. How fast this boss goes is entirely RNG. The little circular beam attacks he's doing, that's the attack that I don't want to see because that's substantially slower. What I want him to do is use his little Iron Man hand laser thing, because I can get quite a few more hits every time that occurs. Alright, and time is coming up right about now. Okay, not a terrible time for the game. This is the point where Megas explains, well, the reason that I took over Dreamland here was because an even more powerful force is gonna come and destroy it, and it was a test. I needed to find a warrior who would be strong enough to stand in its way, and that's why I did all the bad things I did. So, yeah, it turns out Megas is actually a sort of tragic villain, which is a complete rewrite from the original PC-88 version of the game, in which Megas is the most completely irredeemable, evil jerk that has ever been seen. But, yeah. Oh, and this shows how much effort was put into the localization of this game. They did not even translate the credits from Japanese. But,